Minnesota Twins dropped game one to the Yankees in New York by a score of 5-1. We're breaking it all down. It's coming up next on the Locked On Twins POSTCAST.
You are Locked On Twins POSTCAST, part of Locked On Minnesota on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up? What's up? We're back in the lab. We're back at it. Another Minnesota Twins POSTCAST episode right here on the Locked On Sports Minnesota Network. You got myself, Luke Inman, at Luke_Spinman. That's the man, Sweet Lou Hennesey. He's on X, at Sweet Lou MN. He's our Twins expert over at Zone Coverage MN. And Lou, before we jump into all the action from tonight, quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to us by eBay Motors. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to bring home that big win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay's guaranteed fit. Only available to U.S. customers. All right, man. Twins starting a fresh 3-game series in New York versus versus this Yankees team. Basically, they're looking for some vengeance because they just got swept by this team at home just a few weeks ago. Wasn't long ago at all. Good news, though, Twins have won their last 4 series in a row, so they're trying to keep the good juices flowing, so to speak, on these last 2 road trips before they head back home for 10 in a row at Target Field. So here we go. Game 1 versus the Bronx Bombers. You got Bailey Ober on the mound. Yankees get on the board first when Torres has a ball go off Max Kepler's glove in the right field porch. I'm calling it now. Probably the cheapest, most Bush League home run you're going to see all year. Anyways, Yanks up 1-0. Next inning, 2 on. Aaron Judge, he hits a weak blooper down the first base line. Hits fair by the skin of its teeth. All of a sudden, they're up 3-0 after those, what just kind of felt like back-to-back fluky kind of hits. But you're down 3-0. You look at the scoreboard, 3rd inning already. It just instantly felt like, here we go again. New York curse lives on. Like, no matter the year, no matter the lineups, Twins just the most unlucky team in this New York stadium. Royce Lewis, though, in the 7th, gets him on the board, solo shot. Obviously, that was great to see. More on him a little bit later. But the Twins, once again, they just can't score enough runs against this Yankees team. They dropped this one 5-1. And give credit to Heel, which we'll touch on here on the mound for New York. He's been lights out. He kept it going tonight. 6 scoreless, 1 hit, no runs allowed, 6 Ks. And again, the Twins start the second road trip of 3 now with a loss to a Yankee team that is now 24 games above 500. And by the way, it's only June 4th. 24 games above 500, only June 4th. Absolutely insane. Is that good? I don't know. Is that any good? I definitely want to spend a few minutes on Bailey Ober, but first, just kick us off as we normally do. Biggest takeaways, kind of 8 topics from game 1 in New York and why this team continues to struggle against the Yankees.
Yeah, it's just the return of the empire yet again. You know, the Twins won the season series against the Yankees last year, which felt awesome. But here we are, and they've lost their first 4 matchups against their dreaded rivals to start this year. And not just them, but the other 2 best records in the American League, the Cleveland Guardians and the Baltimore Orioles, 0 wins against those 3 teams. So they're kind of being outclassed in these matchups so far. And it really starts with the starting pitching matchup today. You know, Ober has had a kind of an up and down stretch, but, you know, he looked actually pretty decent for the most part today. If you went into the game and said, hey, Ober's going to give you 5 innings, 3 earned runs, you'd probably take that.
I think I'd take it.
Against a juggernaut lineup that has Volpe, Judge, Soto, you know, and the rest. So, but yeah, Luis Gil, holy cow, he is something special. He's had one of the best runs in Yankee history in the last 6 weeks or so. So, and we saw exactly how it worked today.
Rookie of the year, Gil's been of the Rookie of the Year in May, also the pitcher, or excuse me, of the month. Rookie of the month in May, Gil was, and then also the pitcher of the month. So yeah, needless to say, without a doubt, the dude is absolutely red hot. I just heard this stat today. Twins are 15-5 this year in starts made by Chris Paddock and Simeon Woods Richardson. Okay, 15-5. They're 18-17 in starts made by Lopez, Bailey Ober, Joe Ryan. So I guess my question here is, which one's more surprising when you hear those 2 stats? And do you look at the glass half full with Paddock and Richardson going 15-5, or is the glass half empty with the big three?
I'm going to say it's actually half full in the fact that I expect Lopez and Ryan to regress more towards the mean of what we had expected for them coming into this year, which we've seen some flashes of at different points for all three of them. So I would expect their performance to regress, positively before the other two start to fall off significantly. At least that's what I'd like to think.
Jeff, by the way, pointing out what, is already a little insult to injury, Lewis Heel, a former Minnesota Twins. And they said it on the broadcast. Actually fun to watch this game on TBS, by the way, with the good broadcast crew. They said it on the broadcast. Okay, this guy was traded straight up in 2018 for Jake Cave. At the time, though, nobody knew it. This dude was playing single A ball.
Right.
Nobody knew what was yet to come. Obviously, they wouldn't have made that trade at the time. And you win some, you lose some in this game for sure. Needless to say, the Twins came out on the short end of the stick in that one. So in their 4 games now combined versus the Yankees, this Twins lineup, they've scored a combined in 4 games 2 runs. So 36 innings, 108 at-bats, 2 runs. One of them came tonight, obviously, from the guy who returned, Royce Lewis. Again, we'll touch on his return here in a minute. Had the solo shot. That's fun. But what's the deal, man? Yankees pitching just that good, or is there something tangible we can put our finger on here, if anything? I don't know.
The Yankees starting rotation is absolutely on fire right now. And I think we've gotten kind of the best of guys like Carlos Rodon and Marcus Stroman. We've seen some pretty good starts from those guys. And it's, a lot of these Yankees games have been, honestly, for the most part, pretty close. I want to say this 4-run deficit is the highest that it's been in any of the matchups, unless I'm forgetting one. But I just think they're being outclassed in the starting rotation right now for sure. And it's that, and it's hard to say that with a lineup, like I said, that has Aaron Judge and Juan Soto hitting back-to-back, just 2 of the best hitters in baseball. Oh,
yeah, I'm just looking back at the sweep. Yeah, they lost 5-1, 4-0, 5-0. So all about, though, for the most part, just like tonight, for the most of the game, right, large majority, felt like it was a lot closer than what the box score is going to say in tomorrow morning's paper. And again, like you touched on, the good news is, I guess, you're not going to face these just red hot, almost Cy Young types of pitchers every night like they did tonight in Heel. Again, pitcher of the month, rookie of the month, guys just on fire. And obviously, again, like we touched on, insult to injury. Yes, former Minnesota Twin. Okay, let's put that to bed now. We talked about it. We put it out there. We get it. It's over. On paper, though, just on paper, I look at this lineup with Julian out, which we'll touch on that in segment 2. Royce Lewis in. Larnach adding, a little bit of juice at the top of the lineup, hopefully. Miranda swinging the bat well. On paper, it still feels like a lineup that should be more prone to scoring 5-6 runs every night as opposed to, 0, 1, 2 runs every night, doesn't it? Like, we should feel pretty good about this lineup, should we not? Or what's the biggest strengths and weaknesses you see right now with this new kind of 1 through 9 lineup?
Yeah, I think you certainly expect more than what we saw tonight. Part of the reason why Julian was demoted down to AAA is because the likes of Trevor Larnach, Alex Kirilloff, Jose Miranda were all hitting really well, especially in the last 2 weeks. And we unfortunately didn't get to see a hit from any one of those 3 tonight, but I think you can definitely expect a lot more from some of these kind of post-hype prospects, the guys who are maybe 2 or 3 years away from their top billing and atop the Minnesota's prospect lists.
For sure. I feel like more times than not, again, this will even out over a long stretch. We got 4 more months of baseball yet to be played. All right. Rocco report, favorite or least favorite move or decision or whatever it may be from today's game. Game 1 versus New York, the Rocco report. It says what?
Yeah, my decision for tonight for the Rocco report is not something that's super tangible, but it's the fact that he showed some confidence in giving Jose Miranda that 3rd spot in the lineup, even with Royce coming back. I think the natural fit would be to put Royce, in the top 3 of the lineup, his first go around. But I like that it kind of showed Miranda, hey, you've played really well the last couple of weeks. We're giving you a vote of confidence. You still have a significant role on this team. Here you are, the 3 spot in the lineup tonight against the New York Yankees. Unfortunately, he didn't reward him with a hit or getting on base, but there's about 7 other guys in the lineup that can say the same thing.
Yeah, well said there. All right, plenty more deep dive from this one, plus our nerdy stat of the day. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to us by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook and official sportsbook partner of the MLB. Right now, playoff time in the NBA and NHL, not to mention baseball's in full swing. That means FanDuel's your #1 place to be to bet on all the action. Check this out. Right now, new customers, you're getting $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. Mavs 6.5-point dogs Thursday night in game 1 versus Boston. Kind of tempting after what they did to our Wolves last week. You can bet on everything, though, from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on the app that's safe, secure, and easy to use. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make your first bet a huge win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook and official sportsbook partner of the MLB. All right, so bigger picture here for a second. Royce Lewis finally comes back, makes his long-awaited return, plays in just his second game of the year now. Of course, he hits another home run in his first game back in 2 months because why wouldn't he? Royce Lewis scores the Twins' only run of the game tonight. I'm going to get all your thoughts on what it means to get him back. But first, the domino effect, which kind of came to maybe the surprise of some teammates, it sounded like. Edward Julian gets sent down to kind of work on his swing. Is that what you expected as well? Was it a surprise at all when you heard that? And what's Julian got to do to kind of tweak this swing now and get back up here? Because we all know when he's seeing the ball well at the plate, he's still a future core kind of nucleus piece to this lineup, is he not?
Yeah, I think he's still firmly in their plans going forward. I think his demotion had more to do with the rest of the roster necessarily. He definitely has still struggled over the last month, no doubt about it. But I got the sense that his demotion wasn't something like, Matt Wallner or Louis Varland, who just never got on track from the get-go. You know what I mean? So I think it had more to do with the rest of the, kind of candidates to be sent down to the minors, all hitting really well, like I said, especially in the last couple of weeks, justifying their spot in the lineup still. I do think that there are some things that he has to work on down in the minor leagues while he's there. In particular, he needs to work on driving, breaking pitch offerings, and off speed. He just has not been able to do much damage. He's got, I think, 1 extra base hit in the last month or something, and it's a double. So he needs to start doing some damage to raise that slugging percentage for sure. But I think it's definitely doable for him. He's still young. He's got a great eye at the plate, which are, 2 factors that are great starting points for somebody in his position.
Yeah, and I think if he can do that, build that confidence back up a little bit, right? Get right mentally, right? Which we all know is so important in this game. He's still got, like you mentioned, a very bright future in this league, hopefully for years to come with the Minnesota Twins. And I think you talk to anyone in the league, current or former, they'll tell you the amount of guys who come and go in the league and don't have to get shipped down at least once or twice. You can probably count on like 1 or 2 hands.
Right.
So it kind of happens to everyone at some point. And more importantly, in this league, if you've got a glaring weakness like he had on some of those breaking balls you were touching on, this league will just pick you away and make you pay until you can figure it out, until you can adapt, until you can adjust. So I expect him to be back before the season's over, no doubt. How long that takes, I have no idea. And hopefully, again, like you mentioned, hopefully he comes back stronger than ever. Okay, the return of the king, Royce Lewis. Everybody's been waiting on pins and needles for, it feels like, weeks and weeks. Just what was it like to finally just see him? I know they didn't win the game, but just to see him back out there smiling again, making plays out at third base. He hits the solo shot, makes that great play again, that diving play at third base, had to get overturned for the out. But just to see him smiling over there, that was nice alone. What's he mean for this team right now, Lou?
I think he means everything. I think he represents the ceiling of this team. I think his play and his ability to stay on the field is what propels them to, the top of their potential, honestly. And I know that's high expectations for somebody who's only played 72 games in the major leagues. He's just got that factor about him, and I think tonight was a clear representation of that. Excellent in the field, draw 2 walks, hit a home run, get your team on the board. He did it all tonight, and I think that's kind of what's to be expected of him going forward. And it was just really fun to see him on the field and see the smile on his face, how happy he was to be back. Before the game, I think he had a quote to some of the beat reporters in the scrum saying, when you love the game as much as I do, it's easy to see, how excited I am to jump right back into things here.
Infectious.
Yeah.
The energy, you can just feel it, is infectious. I would give anything to be a fly on the wall in that clubhouse, right, in the dugout, when that dude's out there. I just imagine just the morale, right, the psyche of the entire ball club, the entire team, including coaches, Rocco included, just kind of kicks up a notch when he's up there for sure. So I know a lot was made about, okay, you bring him up. You can't send Miranda down. Obviously, we know they sent Julian down, but you can't set Miranda down because he's hitting the ball so well the last 2-3 weeks. And then the question kind of got floated out there. Okay, who's moving to second base? Can Castro? Okay, is it going to be Castro at second base? Could Royce Lewis even play second base, which is how well-rounded he is at multiple positions in the dirt? And where do you move Miranda? First base, third base, DH? What's it all going to look like? I think tonight is what most people expected it to look like on most nights moving forward. Royce Lewis at third, Miranda at first, Castro at second, but you think Rocco's head is just spinning right now? What's your 2 cents on what it will and what it should look like for the next few weeks?
I think this kind of dynamic roster is exactly what Rocco loves. I think he loves these kind of matchups and kind of mix and matching it. We didn't see him do it so much in the first couple of years, but that was also kind of the Bomba Squad season of 2019. It was like, there's only so many moves you could make. There's only so many chess pieces on the board there. But I think he really likes having this kind of dynamic roster where he can mix and match. And, Willie Castro at second base for the most part going forward, that doesn't necessarily have to be till the end of the season. If he's having success there, that'd be great. If Julian goes down and really improves his approach and starts mashing down in the minor leagues and earns his way back up, that's fantastic. Also, we can't forget that Brooks Lee's back with St. Paul starting tonight. I think their game actually got rained out, but he's supposed to be back on their roster. Yeah, anything can happen if he gets off to a really hot start for the next few weeks and the team's in contention there, especially given the fact that he's a switch hitter who can play multiple spots in the infield. So it's an exciting time. And like I said, I think Rocco really loves that part of working his roster.
Every time they showed him tonight on the TBS broadcast, he was just buried in that lineup card, man. Just sitting there, just making X's and O's, scratching things out, circling things. I think he really does secretly love it. Does every team have like a Willie Castro that can just play like 5 different positions and still hit at the 7 or 8 spot and produce at the plate? Or is this kind of a rare luxury that the Twins have right now, especially given so many injuries that they went through in these first 2 months?
There's definitely a handful of other guys around the league, but none do it quite like Willie does it, at least since he's become a Minnesota Twin at the start of last season. He's been stellar for them this year. Think about it. He's had to replace Carlos Correa at shortstop for, a couple weeks there. He had to be the main replacement for Byron Buxton when he went on the IL. He's played some third base with Lewis out. Now he's moving over to second to replace Julian. He's just kind of been that Swiss Army knife that competitive teams definitely need. You see that in some of the best teams around the league. And I think he's been a godsend for this team over the last couple of years for sure.
I feel like the term Swiss Army knife gets thrown around a little bit too loosely in all sports. I think about football especially, but truly this dude has been a stellar utility guy, being able to line up, like you just mentioned and laid out, multiple positions and not just be a body, but actually produce. That's the big difference, right? Like you said, like other teams got some guys, some Swiss Army knives, right? But are they just a body out there that's just kind of an automatic out at the plate, things like that? That's not Willie Castro so far through 2 months. Huge luxury. All right, nerdy stat of the daytime. Give us a crazy stat or fun analytic Twins related. Lay it on us.
Yeah, I'm actually going to Luis Gil. Like we said, we're not going to talk about how he's a former Twin farmhand, but
no, we're not going to talk about.
No, but here's the deal.
He was a former Minnesota Twin. We're done.
Okay, all done. Here's the deal, though. He has been so fantastic for the Yankees, and he's been especially fantastic at Yankee Stadium, where opponents are hitting just 115 against him this season, which is by far the best among starting pitchers in Major League Baseball. I'm going to make a prediction. I think that he is going to start the All-Star game for the American League this year because I think he's that dominant, and I don't see him slowing down anytime soon. But I then again, I look at the rest of the Yankees roster, and I think I counted like 3 other players that are probably going to start for the American League this year, just with how fantastic they're playing. And Soto and Judge and Volpe has been really good for them. So, but Louis Shield, yeah, it stings, and it's really impressive to see. It's not like Yankees need more superpowers against the Twins, but yet here we are at Yankee Stadium. He gets this extra boost.
It's unbelievable. It's so defeating. It's so exhausting, isn't it? We've been doing this. It feels like 20 years. It's so exhausting against this just powerhouse like video game lineup. It feels like more years than not against the New York Yankees. All right, don't go anywhere. We'll preview Game 2 versus New York tomorrow. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. And eBay Motors, they got everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to the ultimate peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights. I'm telling you, eBay Motors, they have it all. And whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors, they got you covered. Check this out. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Murder, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay's Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Okay, Game 2 versus New York tomorrow. Twins looking to still try to take their would this be the 4th series win in a row or 5th series win in a row now?
I want to say this would be number 5 in a row.
I want to say this is 5 now. Yeah, so can still do what feels like the impossible if they win 2 in a row. Chris Paddock on the mound. What's like the top 1 or 2 things you're looking for in tomorrow's matchup?
You know, Carlos Rodon really diced up the Twins last time they faced him. Yeah. I think Jeffers hit that leadoff home run off of him, and then he just kind of laid into him like a buzzsaw. So that matchup is going to be interesting again, especially with Jeffers getting some fresh legs and an off day tonight, so he can hopefully do another round tripper against Rodon tomorrow. And Chris Paddock, has been going through kind of a dead arm period, which is natural for a lot of pitchers, especially in his position. He just eclipsed the 60-inning pitch mark, which is the most that he's thrown in the last few years with all his injuries. So that pitching matchup will be interesting. I am a little nervous about Chris Paddock going into such a small stadium against this juggernaut lineup, but I'm nervous about that for everybody. I'm just a nervous guy. What can I say?
Yes, well justified again against this murderer's row of this New York Yankee lineup. Bigger picture, though, too. Okay, we're on this kind of in the middle of this 9-game road trip, right? They took 2 or 3 from Houston. You got the Yankees now, lost game 1, and then Pittsburgh after this. I know a lot of work remains to be done, but you got Royce back, which is kind of this nice shot in the arm, so to speak. What are some of the biggest keys, or what are you looking for, I guess, kind of bullet points, especially with 2 more games left versus New York, and then you go to Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I'm hoping for a big push from their veterans in the lineup. I'm talking Carlos Correa and Max Kepler.
Sure.
I think those two have had a pretty solid opening third or so, or 40% of the season, I think we're at now. And so I'm going to hope to see an extra push for them against the top tier team that we're facing right now in the New York Yankees. It's not going to be exactly the same test when we face the likes of, the Rockies and Pittsburgh and Oakland after that. So I really want to see them step up against some top tier competition.
And the good news is, too, as I mentioned at the top, if you can survive this little stretch, right, you get 10 home games coming back in a row, which is really nice to see. That's going to be a breath of fresh air by the time you get there. So take care of business now, and maybe you can really do some serious damage when you get 10 in a row back at home in the backyard at Target Field. After starting 7-13, the Twins are, I don't want to say they're tied anymore, but they're one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the AL with a 26-14 record the last 40 games. So their stock is still trending in the right direction. I know they lost tonight, Royce back, hoping to win, but what's been the biggest catalyst for their success over the last 40 games? And do you think it's sustainable?
Yeah, I think it's been a lot of different factors that have brought them to this point. And
Feels like
also,
it. Yeah.
it's also just worth saying that when Royce went down on opening day, and it was like, okay, about a 2-month time frame is what we're hopeful for. Going into that, if you would say that they would come out and they have they're 7 games over 500 and they're firmly in a playoff position here, I think we would take that. But it's just so interesting that it's come from a lot of different parties, and namely, they haven't gotten any sort of spectacular production from Byron Buxton or from some other guys that they're kind of leaning on here, Wallner or Julian. There's been some twists and turns for sure, but it's been a few different parties that have gotten here to this point.
Just one last quick one on the Yankees. When you look at what that team's doing, man, is everyone else just playing for second place this year or what? I know it's a long season, but 24 games above 500 in early June, like that's insane. I mean, imagine being the Baltimore Orioles. You're 18 games above 500. You're not even in first place in your division. That's insanity. So Yankees #1 team with the bullet right now, or any chance they cool down at some point? What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's a long season. We've seen these guys go through stretches before where, cold stretches, I should say. But I definitely think they're the class of the American League right now. And for the foreseeable future, probably they don't even have Garrett Cole pitching for them right now. That's how good they are. They're doing this without the, probably top 3 arm in baseball right now. So pretty crazy to think about. They're certainly the class of the American League, I would say.
So Yankees won with the bullet, big gap. Then you got Baltimore, Cleveland, kind of 2 and 3, interchangeable a little bit.
Yep.
Everyone keeps telling me Cleveland can't keep this up. They were down 5-0 tonight versus KC. They end up winning. Last time I checked the score, they were up 8-5 in like the 8th. Do you agree that they can't keep this up? What's going to be their Achilles heel, I guess, if they do start to fall back down to earth, if you had to guess?
If we're talking Cleveland, I would have to say it'd probably be their health. Especially we've seen in recent years some of their top arms go down with an injury, and I'm not rooting for that for anybody. But if they are going to come back down to earth, I think it's going to be that. It's going to be some of their secondary lineup pieces that are not Jose Ramirez kind of coming back down to earth. And I from what I've seen, they've been pretty lucky. But I also think they're a pretty well constructed team, especially given some of their budgetary constraints.
For sure. No, it's tough to pick on them, man. And again, I mean, what an incredible start. Nobody saw that one coming, especially if you go back to all the preseason expectations. It's supposed to be the weakest, softest division in baseball. Twins were just supposed to win this thing by default. Hard not to at least acknowledge, right, and give them some props about this fast start these first 2 months. We'll see again if they can keep it up, though. One last quick one before we get out of here. You and I haven't spoke to any baseball, it feels like, in about 2 weeks. Biggest storyline that's caught your eye around the league the past few days or few weeks or so that you've been kind of tuning into or honing in on?
Boy, that's a tough one. I think the last few weeks, seeing the debut of Paul Skeens on the Pirates. I know when some of the earlier episodes that I was on with you, I was saying how I was really impressed with the Pirates' hot start. They really took a tumble since then, but his debut has been a nice shot in the arm. They have some really good pitchers in their starting rotation, and I think the Twins get to miss Skeens and Jones, who are their top 2 arms, which would be nice. But Paul Skeens is an absolutely electric player who I think is just going to be dominant for this year, and probably many more to come.
#1 overall pick or #2?
#1 overall pick last year's highest. I think it was the largest signing bonus in MLB history.
Wow, absolutely unbelievable. Yeah, I remember when he came out, he was definitely one of the hot A topics coming out of that draft class. I'm always a huge NFL draft guy. Fun to kind of tap into the MLB draft and some of these young prospects as well. He's certainly a fun prospect to keep our eyes on, without a doubt. Always fun talking Twins with you, win or lose. They do lose tonight. Game 1 in New York, 5-1. They've now lost 4 in a row to them this year. Game 2, though, tomorrow. Chris Paddock on the mound. First pitch, another 6:05 p.m. Central Standard Time start. As always, huge shout out to everybody that joined us on the stream. Rest assured, we'll be back each and every game, same time, same place right here to break it all down. And quick reminder, got to go check out all of Lou's work on X at Sweet Lou MN, plus all the work you're always ripping up over at ZoneCoverageMN.com. Anything new over there as of late we can go check out that you've been working on or just dropped recently, Twins related?
I had the week off this week. I had a
Fair
wedding
enough.
out of town, but I'm
Yep.
jumping right back into it. Keep an eye out.
Yep. No, everybody. Hey, it's a long gauntlet season, my man. We all need to clock out once in a while. Totally respect that. Whatever you do drop, can't wait to check that out. And if it's not too much trouble as well, go like this video, go subscribe to the channel, help us get to 8,000 subscribers. That's always much, much appreciated. All right, that'll do it for us tonight. Sweet Lou Hennesey. I'm Luke Inman on Twitter, @Luke_Spinman. We'll see you next time. But until then, signing out.